Part 2 of Beauty and the Beast. One evening as I was dressing for dinner, my breezes brought me a dress fit for a princess. It was a beautiful silver dress that was made to look as though it were of homespun moonbeams, and it shimmered in the candlelight. "Oh, for heaven's sake, we've been through this a dozen times. I will not wear anything like this." The breezes said, "This is going to be difficult." And there was a moment of confusion and a swirl of wind. When I emerged from the windstorm, I had been put into the silver moonbeam dress and was wearing diamonds set in silver. "Stop it!" I reached up and pulled the diamond combs out of my hair and threw the diamond earrings and necklace on the floor, but they flew back into my hair and onto my neck and ears. I couldn't get the dress off either. I sat down on the floor and burst into tears. "I don't seem to be able to stop you, but I won't leave this room dressed like a princess." When the beast came to my room and knocked on the door, I told him through the door what had happened. "I will not wear a dress fit for the princess." The beast roared, and there was an angry burst of wind, and when it stopped, I was wearing a sickly green dress with a large white pilgrim collar. My breezes were not happy with me. But after dinner, the beast showed me his magic mirror, and I asked him to show me my family. They were missing me terribly, but getting along. The young pastor wanted to marry Grace, but she didn't want to. She still loved Robert. Suddenly the mirror flashed to a half-wrecked ship coming into the harbor. Grace's lost love Robert was on board, making for my father's old warehouse on the dock. I saw him talking to the harbor master before the mirror went misty and blank. "Please let me go home," I begged. "Please. I must tell Grace that Robert is alive and looking for her. She must be miserable for the rest of her life without the love of her life. She'll be miserable if she marries that pastor and doesn't wait for Robert. I need to tell them that I'm all right and that I'm happy here. They don't need to worry about me. Then I will come back, and I will never ask to leave again. I promise." The beast looked at me quietly. "I can deny you nothing," he said at last. "If you truly want to go home, I can give you a week." He gave me a rose from the bowl by his chair and said, "Take this. For a week it will remain fresh and blooming. But hurry back, Beauty. I cannot live without you. If you are late, I will die." I immediately saddled Greatheart and headed through the forest. I made it home in time for supper, and I told my family about Robert, that he was coming for Grace. And I told him about my time in the castle with the beast, and that he was kind to me, and always made sure I had everything I needed. The week was wonderful. I spent a lot of time with my sisters and father, and at the end of the week, I was restless and anxious. Early in the morning of the 7th day, I dressed in plain clothes, saddled Greatheart, and said goodbye to my family. But once I was back in the forest, I was chased by a pack of wolves and became lost, and I began to fear that I would never find the castle before the sun set. Yet after many hours, I finally stumbled onto the path that led to the gate and the palace grounds. I left Greatheart in the stable and began to search for the castle and the beast. It was dark and quiet. Normally, when I walked through the castle, torches and candles would light themselves on their own as I walked. But now they barely flickered as I passed. I was tired, sore, and hungry, and the castle felt deserted. I could not see, nor could I hear, nor even feel my breezes as I stumbled through the corridors. I found the beast in the parlor, sitting in his chair exactly where I had left him over a week ago. The roses at his elbow were brown and dead. I touched his face and said, "My love, wake up. I am here, dear beast." Slowly the beast opened his eyes and said, "I thought you had broken your promise." "No, I am back now. I love you. I want to marry you." There was an explosion of light as if the sun had burst, and there was a shock wave of air, and I fell to my knees, pressed my hands over my ears. The beast disappeared. Once the air was still, he was nowhere to be found. A man stood beside me, dressed in blue velvet, and I looked at him in surprise, but I recognized him. "I know your face," I said. "Beauty, my love, is that you?" said the man. "I know your voice," I said. We walked together through the castle, and he explained what had happened. "I was an arrogant young man who was not kind to other people in need," he said. "An enchantress came disguised as an old woman, and I refused to help her in exchange for a single rose. So she cursed me to become a beast, and she cursed my servants to become invisible winds, until I could learn to treat people with kindness and respect. And the only way to break the curse was for someone to love me, and for me to love them in return." The servants reappeared around the castle and came and found us. They were so happy. My breezes, named Lydia and Bessie, showed me my reflection in a mirror. The beast had not been the only one changed in the breaking of the spell. The girl in the mirror was beautiful. My hair had turned a bright coppery red, and my eyes were a clear mixture of ocean blues and greens. I truly looked like a princess, beautiful inside and out. I was once again dressed in the moonbeam dress with diamonds. Servants woke up all over the castle and came and found us. They were so happy to be back again. A few days later, my family rode through the forest to the Silver Gates. My father, Grace with her new husband Robert, and Hope and her husband. Behind them came hundreds of people, now that the curse had lifted from the forest. The people were happy to see that the prince was alive, and the beast said, "I love you, Beauty. Will you marry me?" I said, "Yes, of course." "I do not know your name, Beast." And he said to me, "I'm afraid I no longer remember it myself. You will have to give me a new name. Now come, introduce me to your family. I look forward to meeting them." It took a little time, but my family came to love the beast, whom I had named Adam. We married later that summer and lived happily together for the rest of our lives. And that is the story of Beauty and the Beast. Thanks for listening, sweethearts. That's it for Stories for Kids. Come back next week for my next story. Bye-bye.